Network Entertainment.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Kaya Pa Ba with Baus Rufo, and my guest for this episode is a good friend of mine, actually, because she has educated me in a lot of things. No. Please welcome to the show Coach Lyqa Maravilla.
Hi everyone! Kaya pa ba?
Kaya pa ba? Actually, kaya pa ba natin?
Nag-couch pa naman tayo. Ano ba to? Therapy session?
Oo nga eh. I think this more or less is going to be a therapy session. But first of all, thank you again. I say again because I tried piloting the podcast like February of last year from my bedroom. Okay naman yung episode natin, but buti na lang meron na tayong support ngayon ng The Pod Network to give us, a more professional, a more stable approach into podcasting. But you are also a podcaster yourself, right?
Yes. Actually, started 2017 dun sa Get Hired podcast.
Aha.
So, early days of podcasting. Yun, as in literal na nakaganyan lang ako sa phone.
Bakit? Kasi wala kang mic?
Wala akong mic.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oo. And the reason why I even started a podcast was at that time, hindi na kaya ng laptop kong editing ng anything longer than 7 minutes.
Oh my God.
Kasi umuusok siya.
As in, dati palang kaya pa ba ng laptop? Hindi na kaya.
Kasi may kasamang panalangin talaga para mag-render siya. So dahil hindi kaya, yun, para-paraan tayo. Kaya podcast.
Hope for the best. So again, thank you for being here. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is grit.
Oh.
Okay, grit.
Nice.
I picked that as a topic because I browsed through your social media presences. I say presences kasi madami. And you just celebrated 10 years of being a content creator. Medyo like creative entrepreneur. Not freelancer anymore, only because you have your own company, but it definitely started with you being a freelancer, but celebrating 10 years of that. Did you see yourself getting to this point?
No, I didn't. Not at all. As in, kasi when I started in 2014, it was a bargain kind of. Parang sabi ko, okay, let's just try to make this work. Tapos in 2017, when I went full-time talaga, kinausap ko pa yung mom ko. As in, may deal kami.
Wow, okay.
Oo. Na sinabi ko talaga sa kanya, give me a year. If this doesn't work out, babalik ako sa law school or kung gusto niyo ako magtrabaho sa government, kung ano nang gusto niyo for my life, susundin ko na lang. Kasi syempre may struggle nung beginning
Correct.
Kasi I was trying to do something na walang proof of concept.
Tama.
Wala pang AdSense revenue when I started creating content. So wala talagang pera doon. Tapos yun, in fairness naman, from then hanggang ngayon, tuloy-tuloy.
Oh my God. So I assume the first year worked out?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Kasi kung hindi, baka nasa gobyerno ako ngayon or somewhere else.
So when you talk to your mom about give me 1 year, like how did you parang navigate that conversation? Na parang ano exactly yung sinabi mo, and I guess which parts of it parang did you have to negotiate kasi baka ano yung mga hindi boto or sang-ayon necessarily yung magulang mo at that point?
Sige, let's set the scene, no?
Correct.
Okay.
Set the scene,
Kasi
exterior shot.
2014 ako nag-start na yun talagang bugbugan na content. At the time, I was preparing for my board exam sa psych. I was also in my first sem sa law school.
Oh.
Tapos, yun nga, nagsisimula akong gumawa ng content. Tapos, to get me through law school, rumaraket pa ako. So, nagtuturo ako noon ng 9 units sa college. Tapos, nagtuturo ako sa review center. Basta marami akong side gigs. Tapos, nung medyo middle point na ng SEM, doon na nagpipick up din yung viewership sa YouTube. Kahit paano. I say nagpipick up, pero 500 lang nanonood. No? Parang feeling ko marami na yun. But yun yung time na yun. So, ang decision was really, okay, I think I need to quit law school. Kasi yun nga, parang feeling ko, sabi ko, kung if I graduate and become a lawyer, it's just one lawyer Pero if I keep doing this and creating educational content, baka out of this would come parang more people na nasa government, nasa magagandang positions of power na sana deserving, gano'n. So I had to give that up. Kaya yun yung conversation ko sa mom ko. Kasi ang feeling niya talaga, tinatapon ko yung buhay ko. As in...
Well, in a way, yes. Pero I'm sure yung naririnig ng mom mo, parang, wow, my daughter is trying to save the world.
But, ang delulu, di ba? I think kung nanay ka rin, parang nag-worry ka na parang ito na yung opportunity, parang UP Law. So, sa world namin, sabihin na natin, kasi may mom and dad, pareho sila sa government service. Nasa government housing kami.
Okay.
So, syempre, alam mo yung payabangan sa kids, di ba? Parang
Yes.
ganon. So, may expectations, parang ganyan. So, nandun ka na eh. Ba't hindi ka pa magstay? Syempre, kung aalis ako sa law school, hindi naman sure kung makakabalik ako, di
Totoo
ba?
rin naman yun.
Bawal naman mag-law, ganon. So, malaki yung masyadong stakes nung time na yun.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I guess early on, you knew that your North Star was to make free education more accessible.
Yes.
It's such a powerful thesis, by the way. In terms of like, kung gagawa tayo ng parang mission, vision, core values ng isang kumpanya, parang to make free education more accessible. This particular articulation of the vision, did you go through that exercise of parang, ano ang aking anchor, ang North Star, ang compass?
Yeah. Well, I started kasi na ang una kong war cry was to help every deserving person pass their test.
Okay.
Yan. So, meron talagang catch na hindi every person, every deserving person.
I was just gonna say every deserving person. So, not everyone.
No, not everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yun nga yung problema eh. Like, if you look at the annals of history, di ba, yung, hindi man ibig sabihin matalino ka, mabuti kang tao, di ba?
True. I mean, I'm smart, but I'm nice off camera.
Yes, you
Sorry,
are
yeah,
naman.
yeah.
Kaya nga tayo friends eh. And we can be even off camera.
That is true. Yes, okay.
Yeah, but in positions of power specifically, na parang, kasi nag-start ako sa civil service exam eh, which, para sa viewers kung hindi kayo familiar, requirement for government service. So para ma-regular ka sa trabaho sa gobyerno, kailangan mapasa mo yun. Ang dami kong kilala, kasi nga both my parents work for the government. Dami kong kilala, 20 years in the service, nagbubuhat ng department. Kung deserving talaga sila.
Correct.
As in, kaya sila nare-renew na contractual kahit na dapat hindi na. Kasi nga, justify kasi pag nawala sila, hihinto yung operations.
Gets.
So deserving talaga, kaya lang hirap sila sa test.
Gets.
Bilang tao na binuhago ang buhay sa test, kasi science high school, di ba, scholarships, all of these things, may kapangyarihan yun.
Okay.
So yun yung first na war cry. Tapos over time, yung mga first batch na natulungan na pumasa sa civil service, yung mga anak daw nila, ito na, UP na.
Ayan na.
Scholarship exam, DOST. So nagagawa pala siya. So lumaki na yung dream. Hindi na lang siya every deserving person to pass their test. Now it's free quality education for all.
I love the fluidity of you and your North Star. Because I think it's very important, lalo na sa ating mga freelancers, creative entrepreneurs, content creators, because we are just kind of at the mercy of whatever the trend is or whatever the algorithm is. Parang we need to be open enough to know na parang wait, baka may mga bago tayong kailangan baguhin along the way. But with that being said, people know you as Coach Lyqa ang pinupuntahan pag kailangan mag-take ng test. Diba? Yun yung parang yun yung parang simplification ng parang doon ka kilala ng
Yun
mga
yung persona,
tao.
diba?
Correct. But if you are to just give a more detailed description of what you do and parang the test support that you provide, paki-enlighten nga ang ating audience. Dahil ang audience natin ay mostly mga millennials. So parang para lang alam nila yung sinasabi ko.
Okay. So I define it as parang mental regurgitation.
Okay.
So basically, di ba yung penguins, di ba? Emperor penguins, the way they feed their young is they eat medyo gory pero they eat the fish and then they parang half digest it.
Okay.
And then they feed yung pulp na yun dun sa chicks nila.
Yeah.
Kasi hindi pa kaya nung chicks na
Got
i-digest
it.
yung information. So that's a lot of what I do. So let's take a huge chunk. So siguro algebra, diba? Simplifying rational expressions. So, iti-take ko yun, i-regurgitate ko siya, breaking it down into smaller pieces to hopefully maging mas palatable tsaka mas digestible na para sa mga mas bata.
Correct.
Or mas nahihirapan sa topic.
Correct. I get it. And then, some of the subjects, the topics that you cover, they range from what to what?
So, sa test prep side, so language, English and Filipino, sobrang hesitant ako dun. As in, for the first few years ng paggawa ko ng content, math talaga ang focus ko. Pero yan, basics din. First, for test taking, subject-verb agreement, mga pluralization, mga ganun. Tapos, anong tawag ko doon ay English to survive.
English to survive.
Yes,
Okay.
to survive lang. So maraming mas magaling sa akin, pero at least to survive, makapasa lang kayo sa test, okay na ako doon. Tapos math, I started with just word problems kasi yun yung lumalabas sa exams. Diba? Mixture problems, age problems, parang pinaiyak na tayo nung high school, paiyakin ka pa uli.
Correct.
Parang ganun. So yun din, math to survive. Pero nung nag-pandemic, Ayan na, nag-announce na tutuloy ang education no matter what.
Correct.
So, nag-shift ako ng focus. At that time, di ba syempre naka-quarantine din tayo lahat sa bahay. So, pumalo ako ng mga 4 to 8 long-form videos per week.
Wow. Wait, 4 to 8 a week?
Long-form. Tapos ito pa,
Oh my
4 to 8 short-form videos a day.
I remember that time when the algorithm was really asking a lot from the
Yeah.
content creators. But yeah, it was right around that time when everyone was really stuck at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kasi hinahabol ko na yung K to 12.
Got it.
So, grade 6. Meron na kami kahit papaano ngayon grade 6 to grade 12 na math. So, yun. Naka-playlist din siya.
Wait, so I mean, I'm quite intrigued to find out when you had to increase the capacity of you and your team to produce videos. How was that like? Kasi like, yes, from a capacity planning standpoint, it's a lot. But also because you're the one ideating, planning the distribution. I mean, because our topic is grit. Like, saan ka humuhugot ng lakas ng mga panahon na yun when you had to really kind of stretch your limits?
It really is sa feedback loop. I think one of the benefits ng content creation, actually kahit sa freelance kasi you have direct relations dun sa people who consume your content. Sa boss mo, di ba? Kausap mo sila So nakikita mo yun. As sa case ko, when you get messages like, Coach, 50 years old na ako, hindi ako magaling sa math, pero ngayon ako nagtututor sa anak ko. Kasi di ba, parents were
Correct.
forced to tutor their kids.
Yeah.
So what they would do would be, papanoorin nila yung video, tapos ituturo nila sa anak nila, or papanoorin nila together.
Sila yung mag-regurgitate.
Yes.
Okay.
Or sometimes they would do parang family viewing. As in, nagugulat nga ako kasi...
Viewing party?
Yes!
Okay.
Oo, di ba nauso ang smart TV around that time
Okay.
din? So dati, parang yung mga lumang videos ko, pang phone lang talaga, di ba? Kasi pangit yung production value, ganyan-ganyan. Pero nakikita ko na nasa living room, sabi ko din sa team ko, okay, kailangan natin mag-invest sa gamit kasi nakakahiya na at this point kung pangit yung production. So, part yun na parang we're in the business, yung lagi ko sinasabi, we're in the business of changing lives. So we deal in hope. Kaya siya yung
Hope,
kahit pagod na
yeah.
pagod na kami, parang tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Kaya
Correct.
when talking about grit, it really is more about your why
Aha.
Kung talagang solid yung why mo, we can bear almost anyhow. Di ba Nietzsche nga yun na quote?
Yeah, so grit and finding your why. I guess I'm not sure if you might be conscious about this. But because you are teaching or supporting test takers how to take their tests or how to pass it again, in a way, you kind of inform the way they form their grit. Diba?
Yes, we try.
Yeah, like what are some of the stories that have kind of left you in awe in terms like, wow, chinatsaga pa rin yan, nilalaban pa rin nila. Because I'm sure, like sabi mga may mga 50-year-old na
Yes.
nag-aaral, but I'm sure you have like many, many stories that people have shared with you.
Okay, sige, I'll give you one na na-inspire ako sa kanya. The other one is what really keeps me going, like through the darkest times. So yung first one, well, I have a lot of stories na rin. 62 years old pumasa, ganun. Sakto na lang 3 years in the service para makapag-retire siya na may pension. Kasi kung hindi siya pumasa nung taon na yun, wala siyang pension. 65 ang mandatory retirement Tapos firefighter siya for all his life. Anyway, one of the stories was, law school graduate. This is heartbreaking kasi pag law school graduate, di ba, may idea tayo na parang test, okay ka na Nag-fail siya sa bar 3 times. So, nag-enroll na siya sa refresher, nag-fail siya uli. So, takot na siya sa exams. Civil service yung hope niya para parang LGU pa rin siya, and this person lives sa Cagayan. As in, bundok talaga siya. So, nung nakapasa siya ng civil service, sabi niya sa akin, Coach, nagkaroon ako ng courage to take the bar again.
Wow.
So, kakakilaba talaga. Tapos, nakakatawa kasi nagsiserve siya sa country, NBI siya ngayon Kasi attorney na siya. So, yun yung isa sa mga inspiring. The other one, Baus, ito hanggang ngayon sinasabi ko na iyak ako. Pero, basta randomly one day, may nag-send sa akin ng picture ng bigas. Sako ng bigas. Tapos may mga bata doon sa sako ng bigas. Tapos syempre wala namang context, no? So naghihintay lang ako. Tapos ano kaya to? Tapos nung maya-maya, nag-message na siya at sabi niya, Coach, alam mo, sa ibang tao, ano lang yan? Parang simpleng litrato lang yan ng bigas, ganyan. Pero kasi po yung mga bata, sabi niya mga kapatid ko. So the story goes like this. Yung mga kapatid ko po, first time nila nakakita nagpa-picture yung mga bata, first time nila nakakita ng isang sako ng bigas. Tapos sabi ko, parang bakit? Tas the story goes, kasi buong buhay po namin ng mga kapatid ko, bumibili lang kami ng takal lang ng bigas. At yun ay kung meron kaming pera, kasi kadalasan naghuhukay kami ng kamoteng kahoy. Nakapasok na siya sa gobyerno. Sa gobyerno may allowance na rice allowance. So the first time na, sorry emotional talaga, hinatid sa bahay nila yung bigas. Yung mga kapatid niya daw talaga, ano po to, kuya? Tapos sabi niya, bigas, sa atin to lahat. Tapos tuwa daw yung mga bata na, kasi nga first time nila yun. Tapos parang sabi ko, pag yung mga ganong kwento, again, anything life throws at me, anything other people say about me, yun yung pinanghahawakan ko. Kasi sabi niya sa akin, ito yung line na hindi ko makalimutan. Sa ibang tao po, picture lang yan ng bigas. Pero sa amin, sa pamilya ko, ang ibig sabihin yan, yung mga kapatid ko, hindi na sila magugutom.
Wow. Such a powerful story. I mean, it's, wow. Grabe. And that's because
of one test.
One test that, you were able to parang help that person kind of pass that. And you've met so many, I guess when somebody is preparing for an exam, it's kind of like a very sensitive and maybe also, I don't want to say chaotic, but it's very uncertain. Because they don't know if lahat ng effort na to nagmamaterialize ba. It might work out, it may not work out. But just having helped so many people for the longest time and hearing these stories, what has it taught you just about the tenacity of the human spirit?
Well, maliban sa yun nga, if you have a purpose behind you, talagang mapupush ka. What I always say is trying should be parang, kaya nga trying hard yung pangalan ng podcast ko eh. Trying, alam mo, pag sa Pilipinas, pag trying hard ka, negative yun, di ba? Pero trying, I think, is already a good na starting point. Kasi if you try to do good, if you try to be better all the time, everything else becomes a healthy side effect. I tell my learners that eh. Yung parang,
a healthy side effect. That's a great way to articulate it.
Yeah. Kasi sometimes when we say, may goal ako, ang goal natin usually, monetary, parang, let me, six-figure earner, mga ganon, di ba? Meron tayong, as in na mark na goals. Gusto ko ng bahay, gusto ko ng kotse. Nothing wrong with that. But what I'm trying to say here is if you're constantly trying to be a better person, trying to be better at your craft, and I've proven that, I feel, kasi nung nagsistart naman ako, wala rin talagang support kahit sa, mahirap talaga. Pero if you get better every time, etong mga bagay na to, they will follow. And then sometimes they will chase you pa nga. Parang ayaw mo na, pero nandiyan pa rin yung opportunity. So, yun lang. Yung parang trying and trying and trying. Ano yun? Sa akin, admirable yun. And I think, ang funny nga doon, kasi ang background doon is, I used to be the student who didn't try.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
After sharing how much hustle you bring into what you do, you barely tried before? Okay.
I came in dun sa entire concept ng trying to be a better person late in life eh. But alam mo yung pagbata ka, tas kahit sabihin mo na medyo ano ka, I hate the word gifted, no? Pero basta yung ganun yung branding,
yeah.
Diba? Ganun yung cream of the crop, parang intelihente ka. I was a student na minsan wala akong dalang ballpen, ganun. Dala ko lang yung gym bag ko, lalo na 4th year high school kasi basketball team kami. So, to training ka, 90 ka na, di ba? Parang ganun. Hindi ako nag-a-apply ng sarili ko nung high school. Actually, kahit nung grade school laging akong, parang okay lang, pero nakaka-honor ka, di ba? Okay lang, nakapasa ka naman. So, ganun ako na tao na parang, pagbata ka na matalino kasi sabihin ka ng mga tao na parang, okay lang yan, madali lang sa'yo yan, matalino ka naman eh. A lot of times, totoo. Pero over time, you understand na, pero what does that make you? If you have this parang amount ng possibilities in your hand, pero hindi mo siya ina-effortan, honorable ba yun? Yung if you skate through life.
Preach. Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
Sa akin, even if I get this na walang effort, sa akin, mas okay pa rin yung may effort. Kaya umabot ako sa point na nung college na talaga na sabi ko, okay, this time, pangako ko naman paakitin ko sa stage yung magulang ko. So, kasi babawi na ako. Ang sabi ko noon was, na-realize ko na if I earn a flat 1, pero yung teacher ay, alam mo yun, yung parang nakauno ka, wala masyadong effort, ganyan. Versus naka 1.75 ka, or kahit 2 pa, pero in-effortan mo talaga. Mas masarap sa feeling yung in-earn mo eh. So, yun dun siya nabago na parang, let's stop celebrating being gifted, I feel, or being talented. Oo, maganda na talented ka, pero kung wala yung excellence, wala yung hard work, para saan? Diba?
No, that resonates with me because, yun nga, parang, I think medyo may natural gifts naman rin ako of,
Super.
being able to make people laugh. And
You're very fast.
also, my wit, my sharpness, and also in like synergizing ideas. But in a way, I also kind of have to honor those talents, and like I need to make sure that I put them to good use. Kasi I think that's really what it's all about. And I I would think na somebody who may be less gifted can always outwork you,
True.
which in the end may let them outsmart you. So if you want to look at this as like maybe a race, like hard work, I think still kind of wins the day. But yes, you are, celebrating 10 years of being an original already. And alam ko, I've only been doing this for 3 years, and I feel like meron ka talagang kailangang i-push na laban day in, day out. So I want to get to know more about the grit in action later. But for now, we're going to take a very quick break, and we'll hear more from Coach Lyqa in just a bit.
Mga Immortal, listen to the Underpaid Podcast with me, Stanley Chi, wherein we talk about work-related topics in a light manner na parang nagchichismisan lang tayo or nagkukwentuhan. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or kung saan ka man nakikinig ng podcast. Kita-kits!
Okay, and we are back sa Kaya Pa Ba with Coach Lyqa. Today we are talking about grit. Okay? So, sinabi mo nga kanina na you negotiated with your mom. Sabi mo sa mom mo, just give me a year to like give you a proof of concept that I can make it work. And then of course, fortunately, you were able to make it work. Diba? You made that first step. And here in the pod, they always ask me about how I was able to transition from like corporate to like comedy. But to kind of take it a step further, yes, the first step is very important and it takes a lot of effort. But the next few steps, I think, are the scarier steps to take.
So
Diba?
true.
So ikaw, I guess nung 2015 to like before the pandemic, the growing pains of like year 2, year 4, parang feeling ko nandyan talaga yung sustansya of like, do you really wanna commit to this dream? Diba? So tell us more about that period of your life.
Okay, so I guess when we talk about grit, dun talaga yun natetest eh. Kasi kung grit pa ba siya kung walang adversity? Yun naman talaga yun
Tama.
eh. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko sa students ko rin. Anong pinagkaiba ng patience sa perseverance sa persistence?
Correct. Mga section yun sa elementary, by the way.
Kasama ng honesty sa
Kasama
diligence.
honesty. Diligence, okay. Oh.
But yeah, magkakaiba yun. Kasi patience is like waiting and kahit wala kang ginagawa. Persistence is just parang nagnanak ka lang tuloy-tuloy. Pero ang perseverance is, may nagpo-push sa'yo pero tumutuloy ka pa rin. The boring stuff is what kills creatives.
Oh, yes.
Diba? Yung parang repetitive na siya. Tas sa case ko, nung second year, meron na akong rhythm ng, okay, when I create content, kasi binabulk shoot ko yung intro, outro, para isang araw lang ako magme-makeup kasi tamad ako. Ganun. Tapos yung fillers na siya. So pag ulit-ulit na siya, and ang worst sa akin, paulit-ulit yung tanong. It really great sa akin. Yung na-explain mo na siya, like may search bar naman,
Correct.
pero bakit ganun, hindi tumatawid? Pero it's during those times na talagang you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place.
Yes.
Kasi a lot of us nga yung mini-measure natin, di ba, yung first step, kaya you're not fully on your way. I say that all the time. You're not fully on your way until you take your second step. Yung mini-measure natin na success sa first step natin, when you try something new, is from 0 years old to when you actually made that step. Yung progress from your first year to second year, ang tinitingnan mo na ng benchmark nun, yung last year.
Correct.
Kadalasan yun yung growth nun, hindi na yun ganun kabilis.
Yes.
Kasi nag-start ka from 0 to sabihin natin 70. Pero yung
Correct.
70 to 75, hindi na yun significant. Tapos nakakalimutan natin yun. Nakakalimutan natin yung pinanggalingan natin. Doon na papasok yung if meron kang journal. Like, mababalikan mo yun. I have letters to myself.
Oh.
Na some of them as far back as when I was 15.
Ano mga sinasabi mo sa sarili mo noong mga panahon na yon, Aber?
Na yung mga tipong, I hope you find something meaningful in life na you will hold on to. Tapos when I look back, and naisip ko talaga, sad girl naman yan, no? Pero, ang sad girl mo talaga, be. Pero nagiging siya, reminder siya na okay, I was once lost na parang feeling ko I have this gift na I'm not using, na I'm not worthy, and now you get to do this. So kailangan mo i-measure yung sarili mo, not from ang basis mo yung last year lang, pero yung balik ka ulit doon sa beginning. Para maalala mo, bakit mo nga ba tinake yung first step in the first place?
Yeah, that's great. I guess that's parang the mantra of parang your craft, di ba? But I guess I want to shift it a bit in terms of turning your craft into a brand and then eventually into a business, di ba?
Yeah.
So, I guess from like year 2 to year 5, how were the finances nun? How liquid were you? I mean, we gotta talk about money here.
Yes.
Because like, again, aanhin mo rin naman yung craft mo kung medyo gutom ka na. At
Totoo
diba,
yan.
kailangan naman, it kind of needs to pay for the bills.
Yes. Meron akong entire system dyan. Siguro I should hold a webinar of sorts, no? Pero meron akong passion, may parang triangle siya. So, passion, purpose, profit.
Aha.
And people, dirty word ang pera. Sa akin, lalo na kasi nasa passion work ka, purpose work, di ba, yung gusto mo tumulong sa tao, parang feeling mo, pag ganun ka-devoted sa cause mo, dapat mahirap ka rin. Parang hindi ka mabait pag di ka mahirap, parang ganun. Pag sumisingil ka. So for a long time, I was working without getting paid.
What?
Yes.
For how long?
Very long. As
Oh
in,
my...
I would have speaking engagements. Abonado pa ako sa transpo, sa pagkain, ganun. Or I'll ask my dad, no, bakit pwede mo ko i-drive.
Wow.
Oo. Tapos pag merong student in need, ako pa magbibigay, ganun. Yeah.
Talaga yung profit part ng triangle
wala
mo
talaga
talagang
nun.
medyo...
But it was around that time na rumaraket ako. So yan nga. Buti na lang din. Ang pinanggalingan ko, even before I started content creation, freelancer na ako eh. So rumaraket ako. I would do side gigs, nag-host ako yun nga sabi ko na, host ko na lahat mula sa pinanganak hanggang namatay. Nakapag-host ka na ng libing?
Hindi pa, pero sabi ko
Lamang
nga,
ako doon.
pag tinatanong ako ng mga tao, ano yung mga hino-host mo? Lahat po, groundbreaking, ribbon cutting, lamay, moving up ceremony. Kaya ko pong game po, basta magbayad kayo.
Iba experience yun. Pag nag-host ka habang may mananalpak, alam mo ba yung mananalpak?
Oh.
Yung nagpapalitada. Yun ang tawag doon. Yan. Iba pala yung feeling.
Grabe.
Ngayon, doon ko natutuhan na ang aking ask na pala ay, sana hindi ko kilala yung patay. Kasi ang hirap pala mag-host pag kilala mo yung patay.
My God. All this so that...
So I have enough resources for the next month.
And also so that you can keep the craft part, your craft. So I guess when did you decide to parang, you know what, we need to turn this into a business because the hosting the lamais will not be able to sustain this.
It was really Zandy eh. Siya yung change maker eh. Kasi nag-volunteer muna siya sa akin. So part-time. And then, tumatakbo na, sabi niya sa akin, alam mo, hindi ka naniningil. May budget yan sila.
The importance of having a partner.
Yes. Oo. Sobra. As in, siya talaga yung nagbago ng lahat. That was when I started getting paid.
Sorry, I don't wanna... I feel like kukurutin kita later pag nalaman ko kung gaano katagal kang pumayag na hindi ka binabayaran. Pero
4 years.
Oh my God.
4 years yun.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Grabe, that's a lot of financial uncertainty.
Yes.
As a freelancer.
So what I would do back then was ina-average ko yung pumapasok na pera. Tapos isi-split ko talaga siya. Tapos yung i-half ko pa yun. Para yun lang yung living expenses ko. Tapos meron pa akong hack dyan. Kasi di ba, speaking engagement, nung nag-start na ako na ma-hire na at least, okay, paying gig to, I used to do this. Mag-FX ako from our house.
Okay.
So somewhere close dun sa venue. Tapos dun na ako magta-taxi. Para at least darating ako na nakataxi. Pero matipid.
Correct.
Di ba?
Grabe. Yes. Wow. Hustle kung hustle.
Hacks yan.
Grabe. No, but I kind of understand it because when I was starting out, like doing a bit of content creation, doing a bit of improv and stand-up, this was like maybe 3 years ago, when I just did the math, parang, okay, medyo malayo siya dun sa iniwanan nating sweldo sa corporate. Diba? So,
Yeah.
I would still take like consulting gigs, like whether that's brand consulting, meaning yung ginagawa ko sa advertising, ginagawa ko on a freelance level. But I had to get creative. I decided that I can actually also do management consulting because I was a VP, I was a general manager nung sa corporate. Like, actually, may mga alam akong mag-run ng firm. So, yung mga start out and SMEs na design agencies, events agencies, pag kailangan nila ng tulong sa scale. So, eventually, you're gonna have to get creative with it because the freelance life is quite uncertain. And I think we kind of share the same value na we don't want to burden our passion and our craft to parang pay for the bills.
Yes, hindi siya safe eh. And pasok ko lang dun sa grit ng yung conversation na yun. Exciting ba yung ginawa natin sa corporate? Like yung mga skills na na-acquire natin sa corporate, na napapakinaban natin ngayon. Exciting ba siya at the beginning? Or, kasi,
I think nung una, parang feeling ko I was dragging myself to do the thing. But looking back now, I would really attribute my years in corporate in terms of just letting me parang find success earlier or sooner.
diba?
Yeah.
It's another way of looking at grit. Eh.
Yeah.
Kasi sometimes people go like, okay, it's easier for you to get parang gritty about things kasi you're already doing something you love.
Correct.
But you have to understand, we're banking on skills na we
Yes.
acquired nung time na yun ang pure grit.
Yes. Yeah.
Kasi
Yeah.
ayaw mo yung ginagawa mo eh.
Yeah.
Pero you're doing it kasi pera at saka
Correct.
pera totoo no?
Yeah.
Pera at saka skills.
Yeah.
Nakaka-acquire din tayo ng skills.
Yeah. No,
So,
I think
gritty din yun.
you raise a very important point na parang a big part of grit is getting an education first in terms of like skills.
Yes.
Like, I mean, sa advertising ko natutong like gumawa ng timetable, mag-negotiate with like collaborators and stakeholders, building consensus, which is very important when you work like with so many cooks
True.
in the kitchen. Diba? Tinuruan ako doon maging like efficient with ideas. Na I guess when I was in advertising, I was like, I didn't know that, oh, this is gonna be useful like 8-9 years from now when I decide to be like in show business. But thank God I went through that because I feel like I'm able to just really approach things more efficiently, more intentionally. So, mas minamahal ko tuloy yung decision ko mag-freelance ngayong early 30s ko kasi parang hindi ako like tumalon lang off a cliff and parang
Yes.
bahala na anong plano.
I wanted to put that in kasi a lot of people nga think na parang, okay, they're listening to this podcast thinking na, okay, sige, one day when I finally get to do
Correct.
my work, that's the time I'll be gritty. Hindi, you start being gritty right now.
Correct.
Kasi doing the work na you don't necessarily enjoy,
Yeah.
that is grit. That is
Yeah.
respectable,
Correct.
honorable yun.
I would attribute nga na parang I think I was able to become a professional host without any hosting experience agad-agad, mainly because of my advertising training.
True.
Because I would always just have to speak in front of people and
Win
just
them over.
win them over, which I think is very important. So I think it was also my advertising experience that helped me parang develop my charm even more.
Yeah.
Okay, so more on the buhay freelancer kasi sorry, ito
Yeah.
talaga ang paborito ng aking barangay Baus. Sorry, yun muna ang pangalan nila for now. Pero marami silang like tanong because I think a number of my listeners, I think are on the cusp of like taking that leap, which is like very good, but also again, take a calculated risk.
Yes.
But I want to talk about parang the financial stability of being a freelancer. We kind of touched on it earlier in the sense na, yes, I'm not saying like be prepared to not get paid for 4 years like my friend over here.
Hindi ako tularan.
Diba? But I think be prepared muna to really kind of tatrabahuhin mo siya.
Yes. Oo,
Kailangan mo siyang
definitely.
trabahuhin. Yeah.
So, huwag kayo magpapadala dun sa yung hype na parang, okay, this month, parang this is the best month ever. So, ipoproject ko na next month higher than this. May walang ganun.
Correct.
Baka ba na yan sumadsad, as in next month wala, or next month
Correct.
bigla yung magpa-plateau.
Yeah.
So, ang rule of thumb sa akin is, i-average ninyo at least 3 months, kung kayang 6, kung kayang 12, i-average nyo yung pera pumasok. Tapos, conservatively, doon mo makikita yung, okay, ito lang talaga yung kaya kong i-spend next month. Kasi kapag freelancer ka, lalo na pag palong-palo, di ba, pandaming pasok ngayon, feeling natin hindi siya nauubos minsan.
Yes.
So yun, dapat ka mag-ingat.
Yes.
Mga quick quiz ko dyan usually. Kailan ka kailangan mag-budget? Pagpasok ng pera or before dumating ang pera?
Oh my God. I'm gonna give you my answer. Tell me if I am a lousy freelancer. Nagba-budget ako after dumating ng pera.
Okay. Well, okay lang naman.
Okay lang naman yun.
Nakasurvive. Surviving and thriving naman.
Okay.
But yeah, sa akin kasi, it's always before dumating ang pera. So I operate on a percentage basis.
Okay.
So laging ganun. Meron akong percentage na, okay, I have 5% for my fun fund. I call it fun fund.
Fun. Okay.
Yes, and for anything fun. As in splurge, as in guilt-free spending na walang balik.
Basta pasok sa 5%.
Oo, yun na yung pang-gachapon, mga ganong klaseng bagay. Walang kakwenta-kwentang bagay.
Aha.
Tapos 5% for my hope fund. I have yung parang pambigay, no? Pag may mga nagkasakit, buloy, ganyan. Tapos yung everything else, nakaatado na yan bago pumasok yung pera.
Got Got it.
So whatever yung money na papasok, and again, hindi siya controllable, diretso yan doon sa funnel na yun. Tapos hindi ko siya inuubos.
Aha.
So kunyari, meron pa ako for my expenses na leftover kasi last month was a good month. Hindi ko yan nauubusin lahat doon sa buwan na yun.
Correct.
Doon ako kukurot in the lean months. Yan.
Very
yun,
smart.
Mga ganun. O, kailan humanap ng kliyente?
Ako lagi ako naghahanap ng
Exactly.
kliyente. Dahil yan ang sales training ko. I mean, kung
Oo.
ikaw, I guess you try to manage parang the finances of it. Ako naman, I'm in a constant state of like, what are new relationships to foster?
Always
which
looking, yeah.
always like looking like, ano yung pwedeng i-synergize? Anong relationships or projects ang pwedeng i-cross-pollinate? Kasi
Yes.
napansin ko nung first year ko of doing freelancing, napaka-unstable nung pasok ng pera. Tapos sabi ko, hindi, I don't wanna feel this way next year. So like, I'm always planting seeds para if ever I experience dips the following year, shallow dips na lang sila.
Yes.
Oh, so
Exactly. Pero kasi a lot of freelancers, lalo pa good months, parang
Let's
hindi na ako
go,
titi-
house
okay
and
na
lot,
to.
charing.
Paano
Oh.
kung mabankrupt next month?
Correct.
Diba? So, hindi rin natin yun alam.
Yeah.
So, even if meron ka ng regularly paying na client, lagi ka pa rin, alam mo yun, looking out for opportunities. Opportunities not just for new clients, but to better yourself. Ano yung skill set na meron ka? So, kaya ako nagsimula ako, again, early days of freelancing to, copywriting, diba? Random na mag-rent ng sports car sa friends. Wala naman akong alam doon, diba? Pero yung skill na yun, na ngayon when you work with brands, na-integrate mo rin siya. So, yun din. Ikaw din. In-invest in yourself din.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire experience.
yeah. And I think that's part of grit. Like always
Yes.
investing in yourself. Yeah, and during that time na, yun nga, naghahanap ako ng pwedeng i-racket. Nung kakasimula ko lang mag-freelance. Like, I messaged my boss who moved na to another country. Sabi ko, baka kailangan mo tulong gumawa ng deck or strat, diba? Tapos, ayun nga, transfer na lang, PayPal na lang. And yun nga, I guess that's also one thing you kind of have to consider na parang you really have to see ano yung pwede mong ma-exhaust na options,
Yes.
diba?
And then lahat din ang matitipid.
Yes.
Like if we can make things as like instant as possible, from the workflow to hanggang sa dulo ng proseso, go and grab that opportunity. Kasi I remember the time na yung low-tech pa lahat. Ay, grabe nun. Tapos pipila ka pa sa money transfer. Isang araw na yung wala doon kasi pipila ka sa lahat para lang ma-encash. Pero ngayon mas mabilis na.
Yeah. I think with GCash right now, you can receive the PayPal payment, diba? And like have it sent straight to your GCash.
Yes.
So I think that's very, very important in terms of just sa mga freelancers. If you're taking gigs outside the country and you're always worried about like, I don't want to take on this gig because baka yung receiving part of the sweldo is a hassle. This one with GCash, it makes it instant, it's secure, and it's actually more affordable because the transfer fees are only 1%. So yes, this is a sponsored segment of GCash.
Yeah, lalo na kasi if, yun nga yung time is money din eh. Di ba for an hour work, you get paid a certain amount. Eh kung ipipila mo yun,
Aha.
nauubos yung oras.
Yes.
Sa akin yung isang labas, lalo na ngayon, di ba may trend sa sa apps, di ba yung parang pag lumabas ka ng pinto, may minus agad na money. Parang yun yung gastos pag lalabas ka. So at least pag instant na lahat, hindi ka nagagastos.
Correct. And with GCash, you can actually do more because after your first PayPal cash in, you can actually update your wallet limit to 500,000 pesos. So thank you GCash for helping us do our hustle with no hassle. Maraming salamat for just helping us manage our finances better. Diba? So, ayun. So, Coach Lyqa, before I let you go, ang gusto kong malaman is, in the next 5 to 10 years, dahil nga, baka na-overwhelm ka ba? Intimidate ka ba doon? Ayoko nang tanongin parang 10-year plan mo because like I think the 10-year plan is kind of medyo outdated na siya. But I guess what are some milestones na parang medyo gusto mo namang matik along the way?
Well, I've been working at it for a couple of years na, pero kailangan kasi ng resources in order to do this. Pero the idea kasi is, kung gusto ko talaga ma-complete yung library for K-12, hindi ko kaya by myself. Kasi science content, for example, I don't do it. Hindi ko pa na-explore yun. So my dream really is to build an army of educators who will cover the content na I don't cover. May mga pegs naman, international crash course, alam mo yun. Sana may ganun na Filipino.
Aha.
But my only thing is, dahil alam ko yung feeling na hindi binabayaran, gusto ko mababayaran ko sila.
Tama
So in
naman
order
yun.
for me to do it, kailangan ko mag-ipon
Correct.
just to make it happen. So right now, actually, na-start ko na build yung Studio B, parang ganun.
May Studio B na tayo.
Yes, I
Oh,
know, right?
I
From
love
my childhood
it.
bedroom
Oh my
to
God.
ngayon, my Studio B. So the idea is, naipon na in fairness kahit papano, pero wala pa kaming cameras and stuff like that. But one day, hopefully, I could get teachers to create content dun sa studio na yon, or at least maybe tulungan ko sila dun sa production and everything, so we could build the complete library na.
Yeah. Well, that's great. 10 years into this, like you are still becoming more ambitious. You're taking big swings. It's still about scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because if you still find yourself, parang how do we scale next? I think ultimately you are in a great position.
I am really hoping, kasi ang sa akin, I hope, like, wag naman sana, pero if anything happens to me, ayoko mamatay siya with me. So in order for it to be like sustainable talaga and to be an actual movement, it has to be bigger than me. So I dream of one day like being completely irrelevant, like tatakbo siya na hindi ako kailangan. I never dreamt to be the face of the movement. Yung mga first few videos ko, faceless. Wala talagang face. Kung hindi lang siya nag-work, I wouldn't do it. So the dream really is makapag-transition na hindi na ako kailangan. Tas okay pa rin siya.
Such a boss thing to say. But yeah, and thank you so much, Coach Lyqa, for joining me today sa aking episode about grit. So, maraming salamat. Don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And also follow us on Spotify. Mag-subscribe naman kayo. And Coach Lyqa, manawagan ka. Saan kanila mahahanap?
Well, I guess if more conversations like this, I do have a podcast. It's called Trying Hard with the Lyqa podcast. Naka-video din. So if you want to check it out, kaka-launch lang namin ng YouTube channel a few months ago. So if you want to see that, doon na lang muna. And across social media platforms, basta pag Team Lyqa po educational, pag Lyqa Maravilla, doon na yung halo-halo.
Doon tayo sa halo-halo. Kasi educational pa rin naman yun. Charing. But thank you so much, Coach Lyqa, and thank you everyone for joining me in this episode of Kaya Pa Ba. We'll see you next time. Bye!
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.